Welcome to Roundhouse Roulette, a Walker, Texas Ranger podcast. Well, thanks for joining us for yet another recap and review of one of the 200 existing Walker, Texas Ranger episodes, randomly selected by Roundhouse Roulette. I'm Evan Dalton, here with my brother Adam.
What's going on?
And our fellow time traveler, Mr. Bob Leahy.
Oh, yeah, how's it going, guys?
Bob's coming to us from the Northwoods.
Yeah,
I'm remote. He was a little delayed in that response, so maybe he was just got back in time. I'm not sure what's happening.
It takes a while for the audio to get through the internet from where I am. Undisclosed location.
Oh, 100%. Well, we'd like to thank you all for joining us as we discuss the finer points of forensic science and time travel. Of course, that means we're recapping and reviewing Season 8, Episode 4, Way of the Warrior. This is the one where Walker gets sent back in time to solve a century-old crime. But before we hitch a ride on the timeless trope of time travel, join us as we pull up a seat at CD's Bar and Grill. Let's go back in time. Let's hitch our wagon to the old locomotive that is Berkshire Brewing Company's Steel Rail Pale Ale.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what CD has on tap for us here at CD's Bar and Grill today, Evan?
And this is a Chattanooga choo-choo of of nostalgic hop taste.
What does the Bar and Grill menu say about this one?
It is Berkshire Brewing Company's flagship brew. It's a light-colored, medium-bodied ale exhibiting exceptional freshness through its two-row pale malt backbone and signature hop flavor and aroma. In case that makes no sense to you, in the words of renowned beer writer Lou Bryson, Steel Rail EPA is, quote, what the water in heaven ought to taste like, end quote.
Okay, wait. You can be like a beer writer? That's thing?
We're basically beer podcasters. Although I don't know.
Okay.
Is it?
Yeah,
okay.
I guess.
Put in the comments, anyone out there who's here for the beer and stays for the Walker, let us know.
Yeah. And also let us know, are we beer journalists?
I think so.
Well,
wow. Let's pop these bad boys. Let's do it. Yeah. Okay. It is golden.
It does look quite golden.
I mean, a good drinking beer, good golden just ale. It's a good beer.
It's
straight up beer.
It's an all-star all around.
Yeah, it's kind of malty. I don't know. I'm not getting a ton of bite from this pale ale, but it's just a good sipping beer here from the Berkshires.
It's it's not super bitter. It's pretty drinkable. It's very drinkable.
All right. Well, I mean, let's bottoms up, guys. Cheers. It was Bob's birthday this weekend, so happy birthday, Bob.
Indeed.
Thank you kindly.
And moving into the news, Bob, you texted this picture. This is a Chuck Norris cake that your friends made you for your birthday?
That's correct.
Evan, did you see this?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty epic fondant work.
Oh,
yeah. Buddy from Carlo's Bakery, he would be like, the fondant on this is better than my polar bear cake. Unbelievable fondant work here on this Chuck Norris cake. We'll definitely be posting this up on the socials. Do you want to give a shout out to your friends who made this, Bob?
Yes. This is from my good friend Jen, who owns Sugar-Coated Cakes in Drake, Massachusetts.
Nice.
For the record, she might be selling that business, and it may not exist by the time this podcast comes out. So check back.
Get your Chuck Norris cakes while you can. I mean,
if you're going to make your last cake, this is definitely it. I mean, Evan, can you break down this cake for listeners?
Sure, yeah. So what we're dealing with here is a round platform on which the cake sits or rests. Now, was that platform edible? I don't think so.
No. I mean, the writing on it was fondant. So yes, technically.
Okay. Oh yeah. So it says on the platform, on your birthday, you wish Chuck Norris a happy birthday.
Which is correct.
Sure.
I mean,
indeed.
No doubt. Yeah.
And then what we've got is sort of a column, if you will, of cake that is surrounded by a layer of fondant that's got a stylized caricature of Walker, I would say, right?
Yeah.
You could say it's Chuck Norris,
black
but
on white.
It could just be Walker.
It looks like Walker, yeah. And he's got on top of that a hat to top it off, which is good. Now, is that like supposed to be his hair?
I think it's some rope.
The bottom of that. What is that?
Rawhide.
Yeah, I think that's some rope.
Okay, just for style.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Now, as we've covered in this podcast, Chuck Norris actually acknowledges Bob's birthday in the movie Top Dog. That is mostly because the date is an ignominious date, which April 20th is also Hitler's birthday.
I forgot about that.
Which Chuck Norris's mom in Top Dog knew right off the top of her head.
Yeah, for some reason, if you've listened to our podcast, one of our biggest downloaded podcasts is one of our early ones, which we did on Chuck Norris's movie Top Dog. But yeah, that was kind of strange. His mom knew a little too much about Hitler.
Just rolled right off the tongue
in that movie.
I kind of want to watch that movie again.
But well, anyway, amazing cake. We'll share it up here on the socials. I was thinking, I don't know, Bob, if you got this next item here. Did you get any of these for your birthday? I'm just pulling this up here. Evan, can you describe what we've got?
I just scrolled down and I'm looking at an Instagram post of Carlos Santana dressed as only Carlos Santana could, which with a splendid medallion necklace over a V-neck T-shirt, leather pants, and a track jacket that's got Bob Marley on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's Bob Marley.
Yeah.
He's got guitars in the background. He's got a sick conga with stylized feathers on it that I'm assuming are like Santana custom congas. But on top of the congas, ain't nobody playing that conga because it's got leather shoes on them.
It certainly does. And this is Carlos's new line of shoes for men. And if you want to check him out, it's Carlos Shoes for Men on Instagram. Beautifully handcrafted shoes
from a legend
by legendary rock star Carlos Santana. And this came up as an ad in my on Instagram because I mean, do you guys think I could rock these confidently?
I don't think anyone can.
Yeah, dude. Oh. Come on. Wait, look at these though. We got lace up. Have you dug through the catalog? And there's a lot.
I'm looking right now. Does he have slippers? That's the question.
Yeah.
A lot of these are sold out. A lot of these are sold out. Actually, almost all of them are sold out
or never existed. Who would have enough?
Very
like,
true. That is very true.
You start a shoe company and you have like 1,000 different types of shoes. I don't know.
Okay,
something doesn't seem right here.
Anyways, these shoes, if you're into fly shoes, these are pretty dope. But most of them are sold out, and as Bob pointed out, it's possible they were never actually designed.
Do a whole shoe line for me, and we'll just say half of them are sold out to create demand.
He has a wedding collection. He's got a wedding collection.
Wait, what does his wedding shoe look like?
There are 7 of them.
I finally have a reason to get married.
Is there
he's
a
got
Phoenix?
One called the Prince Velvet Loafer. Oh, it comes in red. Oh, and blue. You can get blue velvet.
How much?
I mean, that's the shoe for me right there. If I'm going to go with a Carlos shoe, it's the Prince Velvet Loafer in blue.
Unfortunately, they are all sold out.
It is.
No.
He just had a bunch of prototypes.
Bob, you got to get on eBay. Get on eBay and see if you can find that model shoe. See if anyone's flipping this stuff.
All right. Okay. I'll take that as a action item on my part.
I'm looking it up right now because I'm serious about that one. Okay, disclaimer. The reason we're talking about Santana is because there was an episode of Walker where Walker tames a wild Mustang named Santana.
And in that podcast, you pledged that you would rate and rank every Santana record, Evan, and you still haven't done it. You're like, oh no, there's too many Santana records.
I haven't said I won't. I started the process and then realized, oh my God, he's got over 20 studio albums. What human being has that? And I was like, man, I gotta, if I'm really gonna do this, I gotta really take a systematic approach.
You gotta put in the time. It's taking time. That's all.
And that takes time, and time is something I don't have.
Well, it's something like we're working our way through the 200 Walker episodes. It's taking us forever to do it, but we are doing it. And so you're letting listeners know right now you are still ranking
exactly.
Records.
So by those standards, let's do some quick math. So we're on the 70th episode out of 200 after 3.5 years. So
sure.
After several months, I am
solve for X
2 or 3 albums through the 25. So I think I'm on pace here.
Moving on here, Get TV, which has been known to play our favorite Ranger, put up this interesting factoid, post that kind of dovetailed with our last podcast, Till Death Do Us Part, which potentially this fact about Cordell Walker, his nickname, could have first been defined in the episode Till Death Do Us Part, as to the meaning anyway. But what do they say here on Get TV?
So Get Great TV says, interesting factoid, all caps, exclamation point. Cordell Walker is also known by his Cherokee name, Washoe, on Walker, Texas Ranger. It means Lone Eagle.
Now, on that last podcast, we
debunked this.
Yeah, it sounds like they made Cherie J. Wilson, and whoever wrote that episode might have been like, yeah, that sounds right. And now Get TV is putting that up. That's pretty amazing. I mean, I'm really glad that they're spreading Walker lore.
I mean, they are.
You think they listen to the podcast?
They are, but if they listen to the podcast, we debunked this.
I guess Get TV is not listening to Roundhouse Roulette. I am really surprised about that.
It's disappointing.
They're too busy scrolling through pages of shoe designs by Carlos Santana.
Yeah, that's what, are you still scrolling? Are you still checking out Carlos's style?
We need remote control of your browser, Evan.
Dude, Evan's face is lit up red. It's like the shoes on his screen are reflecting back on his face.
That's like 4 years of my shoe budget.
His skin is turning into like Snake.
I mean, I would order any pair if any of them were in stock, but they're not.
All right, well, guys, I keep a close eye on eBay, and I stumbled on something that might be the original Walker fan fiction here. What do we got, boys?
This
fan fiction, or it just looks like it's called a fanzine, right?
Well, you dig into it. The eBay ad is here. It says Walker Texas Ranger fanzine to ride the river with 1998 fanzine, and that is an episode to ride the river with we haven't gotten to. So it looks like they made a sequel to a Walker episode, but upon further inspection, it looks like it has multiple stories about Walker, maybe, or it might be before there was the internet. It was like a physical fanzine that had fan fiction.
That's exactly what this is.
Yeah. We need some inspection. What are some of the sacred texts we see here from the screenshots? And can we describe the cover, please? Let's start there.
The cover is a pastel drawing of the Texas flag, and then Chuck Norris's face on the right with an extremely full beard. We're talking like baseball steroids era user beard fullness here. And then back behind him is Trevette peering over his shoulder with piercing eyes and abnormally red lips.
Okay.
It looks like it was done in pastels for sure.
Yeah. It's something to behold. We will be posting this up on our episode page for this podcast for you guys to check out.
Here's the thing. Do you want to post it up there? Because once this thing's gone, it's gone. Have you snatched this up already?
I don't know. I don't know. There's a link to it.
Sounds like yes.
Did you go to the link?
No, it's still available.
Yeah, it's still available. So
I mean, if there's anything that the Patreon supporters would want us to buy, it's this thing for sure.
I mean, what it says $50 or best offer. What
bucks.
offer I'm making it right now?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. Go low and then
or 25.
I'm going $20. Say, hey,
you got it.
Yeah, going in for the kill right now. We're gonna put that in here. We might have another live fan fiction reading for you guys.
Oh man, I mean this looks so good too. The other car came out of nowhere. There was no time to think, no time to react. A screech of tires, a sickening crunching of metal, and a terrible blinding jolt of pain as her head slammed first forward, stopped by the airbag, and then sideways to shatter the glass on the driver's side door. It was over in an instant, and the car sat, a tangled mess of metal, in the middle of the intersection. Its driver unconscious, trapped inside as the smell of spilled gasoline and smoke began to fill the air. I mean, we're building towards explosion number 1 of this fanfic.
Are we breaking?
How tight were
we breaking copyright laws by reading that?
it? Was getting to like how tight Chuck's jeans were in the next passage, and you just cut them off, Bob.
Sorry, I'm just I just had to.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
No, are you?
Is it? I didn't read it. What's it say? I don't know.
So I'm reading through what can only be
I'm just
described as,
joking
I
around.
guess, the table of contents here. And there's the company, quote, B, end quote, roster. I don't know if this is like a group of writers that all write fanfic for Walker. I have no clue.
Yeah.
But, they've got titles like In Your Eyes, To Love Again, My Partner's Keeper, Random Encounter, Duet in D minor, The Moment. But then there are also missing scenes, which are, one assumes, scenes from existing episodes. We definitely need to get this because we need, for lack of a better term, we need to insert these missing scenes because they have names like Shockwave, Dark Night of the Soul, Rough Landing, Night Thoughts, and One Sheepskin Jacket.
Yikes.
I'm just going to say Londa Pfeiffer.
All right.
Londa Pfeffer. I think Londa's got some dark thoughts there.
About Walker, yeah. I mean, okay. All right. Well, the bid is in. We'll see. And this is from Dr. Beth's fanzines. Looks like she sells a lot of fanzines on eBay. But hopefully we'll get the $20 bid on this and we'll be able to really dig in. All right. Well, maybe we should dig into the mailbag here. We got a few people who wrote us at roundhouseroulette@gmail.com and give us some feedback. And if you feel like doing that and letting us know what you hate about the podcast, what you like about the podcast, and anything in between, that's the email to do it. But we heard from David. Yeah, he says, boys, I have a few items of note to share with you. I am thoroughly enjoying my Ranger Teen Camp sweatshirt that my wife Allison purchased for me for Christmas. I believe you shouted her out a few episodes back, and that really meant a lot to both of us.
I remember that.
Yeah. He says, please know I actually wear this sweatshirt way more than I thought I would. You asked about quality, and boys, let me say it's downright in italics, so it might be poetry. Decent. Yeah, it's a decent sweatshirt. It's been through several washes, and the graphics show no sign of wearing out, much like Cordell Walker himself.
Bravo.
So. And this is a sweatshirt that we recreated the art from a Walker episode where he had like a bunch of teens come on a camp and he tried to correct their lives or whatever. And was it Mila Kunis was one like a 7-year-old, and she was rocking this sweatshirt. And it's available in our roundhouseroulette.com if anyone wants to recreate that style and start your own Ranger Teen Camp.
That's amazing. I'm glad to hear about the quality too, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and you don't know. I mean, that one is like kind of a print to order shirt. So we appreciate the feedback there, David. He also said, I just picked up Uncle Ray's, a.k.a. Floyd Red Crow Westerman's hit 2006 CD, a tribute to Johnny Cash. I have included some pictures below for your reference. I'm excited to give it a listen and can let you know how it lands on the ear if you're interested.
Oh, yeah. Haven't we talked about this too? Oh, look at he's got the quote from Chris Christopherson too.
I mean, we're interested, David.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We're definitely interested. And he said, that's all for now. Thank you again for this show. Sending love to you all, David in Olympia, Washington. So thanks, David, for checking in and repping us with the Ranger Teen Camp sweatshirt, which I can't believe is actually in the physical realm. All right, guys, let's break down the pictures he sent of Uncle Ray's tribute to Johnny Cash CD here, which, if anyone's interested, it is on Spotify. You can stream it. And, dude, he sounds like Johnny Cash when he sings. It's crazy.
I believe that.
That's what the quote says from.
Yeah, I'm just pleased that the front cover has the obligatory lateral crack in it that a 20-year-old CD should have.
Oh
yeah. Jewel case. The jewel case looks actually in pretty good condition for its age, for sure. Yeah, Bob, who do we hear from on the back as a little shout out to Floyd Redcord Westerman? Who gave him a little...
who wrote the blurb or the endorsement? It's Chris Christopherson. And he said...
legendary singer-songwriter.
Right. Well, Floyd's deep, powerful voice resonates with the truth. I had no idea he could sound so much like John. There you go.
I mean, this is coming from a guy who acted in the Blade movies. So, I mean,
he's respectful of vampire culture in those films, so.
Yeah. Well, we will be sharing the compact disc liner notes as provided by David and a link to listen to this album on this episode page. David, thank you for your Walkerology and sharing with us. All right. Well, we got one more letter in the mailbag. Evan, you want to take this one? It's from Vincent Rossetti.
Okay. Vincent Rossetti. Subject, question. I like this. Message. Hello. Like this too. I've recently been rewatching Walker, Texas Ranger and have a question for you guys since you're experts on the show. I noticed Trevette only punches during fights. Has he ever kicked anyone? I'd appreciate some clarification on this. Also wondering if I could bribe you into sabotaging the roulette. There are some episodes I would love to see reviewed by you before I die. Thank you for your service. Well, we'll answer the second question first. Unfortunately, the roulette is the only thing set in stone with this show. Now, if your episodes you want us to review are 2 or 3 part, or in the case of the Chairman Saga, 4-part episodes, then, that ups your odds a bit. But other than that, we can't really do much about it.
But honestly, though, like your favorite episode could be our next one.
Very true.
Any given point.
Very true.
You never know. You got to keep tuning in.
Exactly. I mean, and we live by it, and we're going to die by this roulette. I mean, we have no choice, really.
Now, the first question is an intriguing one. And I'm thinking back to Trevette's greatest moments in fights. He's copied quite a few moves from Walker. He's jumped through windows. He's jumped off of helicopters. He has used a pool cue to great effect. Obviously, he's jumped from high heights onto bad guys, knocking them out instantly. But it is an interesting point. I'm not sure I've ever seen him kick anyone. I think kicking is Walker's thing.
He must have kicked somebody at some point, but it's mostly punching. And I had read Vincent's email before I watched this latest episode, and so I was watching for it, and all punches from Trevette in this episode we're about to dig into.
Did you watch the same episode?
Yeah, was Trevette even in this episode, dude?
I think Adam watched the wrong episode.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Well, anyway,
page.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out on Trevette. I mean, we're going to be doing our best here. We got 3. Well, I think we got 6 eyes on it on our best day here. But we'll keep you posted, Vincent. And, who knows? At the end of this podcast, we could spin your favorite episode in ours.
It's all very true.
Lastly, here, we want to shout out a thanks to our newest patron and someone we've heard from in the mailbag recently. Zora McBride became a patron for us and is now complicit in Roundhouse Roulette. I mean, she's funding our hosting and editing of this podcast.
Purchasing questionable items from eBay.
Exactly.
Submitting lowball offers.
If they accept our bid, our lowball offers on Walker memorabilia. Zora, thank you so much. And we appreciate everybody who's supported us and wrote in and just listens to the 3 of us stupid guys here.
Well, we got a lot to get into here. So, if you want to watch along at home, hit that pause button and watch Season 8, Episode 4, Way of the Warrior. And come right on back to us if you dare. Welcome back. Let's dig into this beast. Kind of fascinating. This episode originally aired October 16th, 1999. I guess I say fascinating, but really that's just for us in that this aired 2 weeks prior to, I believe, the last episode we reviewed.
Right. Yeah,
and the wheel has no reason or logic, but we live by it.
For better or for
All right,
worse.
so how does this episode start out?
All right, so this one starts out on a thunderstorm at Walker's ranch, and Walker is, as one does when you're batching it at age 65, sleeping shirtless in his ranch during a lightning storm.
His bachelor pad?
Bachelor
Is that what
ranch,
you're
yeah.
implying here?
Which is a flavor by Hidden Valley.
Bachelor ranch. Yeah.
With chunks of pure sadness.
well those
It
actually
goes
bacon
on
bits.
everything.
Yeah.
Bacon bits, pure sadness. Potato.
It goes on breakfast cereal. Okay, so he's in his bachelor ranch at night.
At night.
He's having serious tribal dream visions. We're talking. This is kitchen sink Walker Texas Ranger here.
And for those who don't know, in the show and in real life, Chuck Norris is half Cherokee. So the show leans heavily into that and Native American spiritualism. And I mean, apparently, he's trying to sleep, and that Native American spiritualism wakes him up.
I guess, yeah. So, like, what images are we seeing here?
Well, I'm assuming this is happening in real life, that there's actually like a thunderstorm outside his window, right?
It's incredibly poorly CGI'd, so I don't think it's happening in real life.
But that's happening, or is it? It's hard to tell, and that's what I'm putting out there for fans to let us know. Is this just happening in Chuck Norris's mind? Is he just seeing the thunder and lightning, or is that happening for everybody else in Dallas?
Let's check the weather history.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, all right. Let's. You know what? I'm going to eBay. I'm ordering a Farmer's Almanac for when this this episode dropped. We'll check it out.
Thanks, patrons.
And needless to say, it's insane. Like thunder and lightning CGI graphics. There's like a picture of Chuck, shirtless, getting out of bed in his cabin. He goes to the window. There's like blue and white light flashing through the window at him, and he's looking out there like, what's happening? And then we clip to crazy CGI storm, and then
we're seeing bald eagles flying by slow-mo across like a blue lightning background. We get random disjointed images of two separate Native Americans that are in full-on garb, who are just sort of staring daggers at the camera, basically.
And it looks like they were green screened onto like a sky background kind of situation. That's awesome. But they're in the sky in Walker's vision or reality.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, we'll say.
Not a way to wake up in the middle of the night. You're not really, not what you hope for.
Hard cut to what we learn a little bit later in this scene is a newsroom, but it's the least busy newsroom imaginable in that there's only one person working there. And he's having a heated conversation with this other dude whose name is Lester.
Yeah, this reporter's sitting at his desk. He's got an ancient computer next to him, and it looks like they took over like a print shop because right next to him is a shrink wrap machine. So I don't know what he's doing with that. So he's talking to this guy, Lester, who came in to say, hey, you can't run this story. It's been too long since I watched this.
So basically the reporter's being like, look, man, I know what you're up to, and I'm going to write this story. And bad guy, okay, I'm going to call him bad guy because one, his name is Lester, and two, I was like, man, I don't know where I've seen this guy, but I know he's a bad guy. Like I just know he's a bad guy, but I don't know where I've seen this guy. I don't know where I've seen him. Dawned on me halfway through the episode. He's the second in charge goon for John Lithgow in one of my favorite all-time 90s action movies, Cliffhanger.
Oh,
yep.
Okay.
All right.
Good
And
one.
more recently, he was in Better Call Saul on like a number of episodes too. So this guy, he's still at
for
it.
sure. Yeah. Very, very long career, but that is definitely where I know him mostly from the mustache.
But in Walker Texas Ranger lore, and he is Lester, and he's shaking down this poor news guy who's just doing his job. He's reporting that Lester and his whole what kind of company did he run?
It's not entirely clear.
Construction
or something.
Contractor, yeah.
He kind of has the whole area, town, and nearby reservation under his thumb. So the reporter's like, no, you've been misappropriating funds, and this is going to get out. And Lester's like eyeing this like Native American tomahawk that's on the wall.
By the point that the reporter is telling him all about the story he's about to spill in the paper about his criminal actions,
right.
Lester's already holding like a Native American tomahawk that was just in a display case on the wall.
Right.
And then the reporter is like, okay, I know you're a criminal. I just told you I'm going to publish it in the paper. I'm going to turn my back to you and start working on my article here.
Yeah, he turns to his ancient computer and he's like, no, this is going to get out. And then presumably he turns around to continue working on the story while the guy welds like a tomahawk.
So
yeah, he dismisses that.
Doesn't end well, we'll say. And Lester takes matters into his own hands and murders the reporter. And then we get like
leaves him on the ground so his blood creates a pool around his
like
desk.
Really weird, like haphazard cleanup by him, where he's like, "Oh well, I guess I should make it look like a crime of passion." So first, I'm going to delete all the records. So he punches a few keys on the keyboard, which has no effect because the thing's running like Windows 95.
And the article comes up and it's like, Lester did the crime. Do you want to delete?
He's like,
okay. Yeah, I do. And he hits delete, and then the thing goes away. And then he's like, well, you know what? I better just pop out the floppy disk. And then, you know what? I could,
I'm just going to hit the keyboard a couple times with the tomahawk. So he does that. A couple keys come off, and then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to make this cryptic phone call. So he picks up the telephone, but it puts a handkerchief over it before picking it up. So he doesn't leave any prints. Okay. And he makes a phone call, which we don't really know what the heck's going on there. And then he's like, okay, well, I guess I better leave. And so he slams the tomahawk into the side of the wall so that it sticks there as like the murder weapon. And then he leaves. And it's like, okay, well, you just did that. You should probably leave the scene of the crime. But we'll get back to that in a minute.
Yeah, and he kind of forgot one thing with a tomahawk too, right? But maybe we'll get to that.
I mean, he forgot a lot of stuff. I mean,
wiping the prints off.
Right. Like if you're like typing on the keyboard, or you just put your fingerprint on like the floppy disk drive or like anything else, why are you concerned about the telephone but not anything else?
I thought he was going to burn the place down. At first I was like, oh, he'll just burn the place down, that he won't have to worry about prints. But you know what? I think he knows that Texas Rangers only check prints when it's on the telephone. That's legally, that's only all they can do.
I don't know. Our first podcast, we saw Walker. He did some fingerprinting on the oil rig. That was pretty impressive.
I don't know. All I'm saying is legally they can't fingerprint a Native American weapon because it's essentially appropriating fingerprints, and they can't do that.
I guess, I don't know. But then again, why was it hanging on the guy's wall? But whatever. Meanwhile, at CD's, Trevette and CD are having what could only be considered some of the great all-time banter they've had in an episode, I would say.
Yeah, Trevette is like making a monster sandwich. It's like he keeps adding stacks and stacks of cold cuts, and he keeps going back to the refrigerator, asking CD what condiments, what does he have, mayonnaise, and CD's doing his like word puzzle that coincidentally is looking for the name of a condiment. So Trevette keeps stacking the sandwich higher and higher, and we're like, dude, how are you going to even eat this sandwich? It's crazy. He puts the last piece of bread on the top of the sandwich, and you're like, okay, that's it. And then he starts stacking on top of that with more ingredients. And what does CD say? He has some folksy.
He'll say that
here
later. But yeah, he's like, he's like, what have you made? And Trevette calls it a man sandwich.
Sure enough.
Walker is on his way into CD's, but he's still having some serious visions here. So he's at a stoplight, and we get to see the red lights. And then in between the red lights, the shaman shows up. And it's like, washo.
So as he's driving, like the Native American spirit he saw earlier in the episode, which we come to learn later is a shaman, appears between the traffic lights. And for once, people beep at Walker because he doesn't react to the light fast enough.
Yeah, we see the woman honk, like laying on her horn behind him. And real power move, he waits a couple seconds before going.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, wait, you doing what now? Okay.
Yeah. No one honks at Walker. Come on now.
Yeah. Back at the newsroom, a Native American that we learn is a Comanche whose name is John Wolfe. He arrives at the newspaper, and we actually learn that he was called by Lester. So I guess he must know something. Yeah,
that's the call he made. Yeah, that's the call he made. And yeah, they never let us know why he called him.
Well,
but
he knows
maybe
something.
He was on to Lester. Yeah.
So John Wolfe, he comes in, he finds the dead body. He's like, "Oh man, I got to call the cops here. Like, this is ridiculous." And then he turns around and Lester's there, and Lester's like, "Whoa, like you did this, right?" And John Wolfe's like, "No, I just got some weird phone call and I'm here now." And Lester's like, "Well, we should probably call the authorities. Better yet, I have a gun. I'm going to shoot you."
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. On second thought, I'm just going to kill you and let you take the blame for killing the reporter that was going to frame me. So.
The best part was when John Wolfe found him too. He's just like putting his hands in all the blood.
Right.
I was like, that's not a good move. Why would you?
Yeah. Lester's like, you already got blood on your hands, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
So somehow John Wolfe's able to escape and drive off in his car with Lester shooting at him. That's when we cut back.
Reckless.
Yeah, we cut back to CD's, and Walker shows up just in time to hear CD giving Trevette some serious grief over the sandwich they just ate. And CD's trying to describe the sandwich to Walker, and he's like, "Man, that was a sandwich. It was so big you couldn't jump a show dog over it."
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, that's some real imagery right there.
Didn't he say something about you're going to have cold cut withdrawal? Just something to like.
Yeah, he said he threatened to cut Trevette off his cold cut privileges at CD's Bar and Grill. Apparently, Trevette can just go in and grab whatever's in the fridge. And that's something you don't want to mess with because Trevette pretty much, CD was like, "Dude, that's going to catch up with you, man." And Trevette's like, "Like it did you, fat ass?"
Yeah, shots fired.
And then CD's like, "Yeah, you going into my fridge and you're talking to me like that? I don't think so."
So Alex shows up to complain about how Walker's never there for their dates, and then Walker gets a phone call, and then they have to leave. And we find out that the phone call is the sheriff out by the reservation, and I guess John Wolfe is holed up inside a barn and is requesting Walker, and so they've got to go and help diffuse the situation out here. So they show up, Walker and Trevette, and there's basically a barn. There are like 50 cop cars all around it with their guns drawn. They're ready for business. And for some reason, Lester's there, and he's like, obviously Lester knows that John Wolfe knows he's guilty. So he's like, "Wow, you gotta shoot now, ask questions later."
Yeah.
Police procedure, standard police procedure
pretty bold
here, guys.
Suggestion to some cops there, but okay. But anyways, Walker's like, "Well, I was asked for by name, so I guess I'll go into the barn."
No. They're like, so he's like, "So why'd you guys call me?" And they're like, "Well, John Wolfe, he asked for you." So all these cops waited, presumably an hour, for Walker to get out there while they had their guns trained on this barn.
Good for them. That's good, man.
I mean,
show some restraint,
Yeah, I know.
I mean, the Texas Rangers are known for their restraint, but those weren't
Very
the Texas
true.
Rangers.
Very
right?
true.
They were
locals.
so,
local cops.
Yep, they're like, you know what? Walker's going to go in, and so Walker's like, okay, is he armed? And they're like, we don't know. And Walker's like,
He's like, I don't even know why I asked the question, really.
Yeah, and I don't need a gun anyway. I've got my fists. But let me open the barn doors, and Walker kind of saunters in, and we're like, what's going to happen here? And then on the opposite end of the barn, John Wolfe just walks around, and what does he say?
Well, Walker recognizes him because John Wolfe's face this actor is one of the characters that's been haunting Walker in his dreams. Yeah.
In his visions. Yeah, it's like the same thing.
And he's like, "I can tell you've been having the same visions and dreams that I have." And it's like, okay, well, we're getting somewhere now.
All right. Okay.
And John Wolfe basically he claims his innocence and implicates Lester, but he also says, his family's been up to no good for generations now, and it's actually his ancestors were historically cheating the Comanche, my people, out of money for quite a long time now. And he gives Walker the evidence, which is a medicine pouch that's got 2 bullets in it, an old one and a new one. And, this is a real sort of like, this is intriguing. What's going on here? Like, what's that all about?
Yeah.
In his vision, he saw like a hand with a bullet or something in one of his visions earlier.
But before we can even maybe ask the question, what's going to happen next? John Wolfe, his image turns into the shaman from the visions, and there's some weird clouds forming inside the barn. And Walker is
awesome
hit by
CGI,
CGI. What can only be described as like force lightning.
Yeah, Palpatine lightning so it came out and knocked him to the ground out of this like blue CGI cloud that's hovering over the inside of a barn. It's like something out of a David Lynch movie or something. And then he falls to the ground, and we're like, "What? What just happened?"
No time to think about it. He wakes up, and he wakes up to the sound of a blacksmith hammering behind him. Blacksmith doesn't seem to think anything about this. And we learned that
people crash here all the time, guys. People crash here all the time.
We learned that he's been transported back to 1868. Now, we learned this because not only is there a blacksmith hammering horseshoes behind him, but he picks up a newspaper from the kid selling newspapers for a cool 2 cents. And the kid's newspaper is talking about how Ulysses S. Grant was just elected president. So it's 1868.
Oh yeah, the paper that this kid was selling, and Walker, he's like, how much is it? And he's like, what, 2 cents? And Walker's like, oh, here you go. Here's 25 cents. He hands him a quarter, and the kid goes, oh, this is silver, and bites it with his teeth and runs off. And I'm like, wait. Hold on, guys. Walker just time traveled.
Yeah, sure did.
Walker just time traveled.
We knew that. We knew that going in.
I think the best part is how completely unfazed he is. Totally.
There's no questioning it.
Totally unfazed. No even acknowledgement of like, what the heck just happened? He's like, I was going to buy a newspaper, and I'm in the 1800s.
Yeah.
He never even expresses a desire to want to go back. So it's basically right after he buys the newspaper, he encounters witnesses, I guess, a standoff in the street where some Comanche men are riding into town on horseback, and all the people gathered around the street are like, there they are, the criminals. And then they just start shooting at them. The Comanche seem a bit surprised by this and turn and flee, which makes a lot of sense. But Walker, he butts in and he's like, what's going on here? And they're like, oh, you ain't from around here. And they look at the gun on his belt and they're like, that's some fancy rig you got. You must be from West Texas.
Okay. I guess West Texas has a rep.
Right.
Apparently.
And then they were like, what's that written on them fancy pair of moccasins you got? Nikkei?
No. Wow. Yeah. Is this the Back to the Future 3 episode? Is that
what
we're getting?
Yeah, I had strong vibes. I think I put that in my notes too.
So anyways, we learn quite quickly who Lester's ancestor is because he's played by the same guy. So anyways, he and his cronies, they accuse the Comanche of holding up a stagecoach that just got into town. But Walker, he kind of cuts to the BS. He's like, well, why is the driver of the stagecoach still alive if everyone else is dead? And they're like,
right.
Let's go kill the Comanche.
Yeah.
And the town pastor, he kind of comes in and he's all like, no, let cooler heads prevail. And they're like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. We're going to go kill some people.
Right. We'll kill the Comanche because they definitely did.
So
this
they
crime.
ride off, and Walker's like, "All right, I got to do some detective work here." So he goes to the mortician, and he gets his serious CSI on here, and he's like, "Okay, well, they're the dead bodies," and he starts talking to the mortician. Great actor, by the way. Love the mortician.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, what killed him?" And they're like, "Oh, it was a Comanche war spear. Left him a hole the size a horse could ride through. Like, you're gonna love that."
Yeah, and then Walker goes and moves the sheet from the body, and he's like, "Oh, it looks like he was blasted with a gun in the front of his chest."
Yeah. Right.
The mortician's like, "I don't know."
Which, I mean, why would he care, right?
Yeah, dead's dead to me.
And then Walker's like, "Get the bullet out," and he's like, "What?"
Right. Yeah. How come? Yeah.
Walker leaves the morticians with a souvenir, which is a bullet that was pulled out of the corpse of someone from Washington, D.C., who we assume is someone who was coming to investigate what was going on, probably in the town, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't leave the bullet, though. He took it with him, didn't he?
Yeah. So he left
Right.
with the souvenir. He's got it, and he stuck it in his in his pocket.
And that guy was in the stagecoach that Lester's ancestor claims that the people in the stagecoach were killed by the Comanche. So whoever fired that bullet was who fired on the stagecoach, and Walker's keeping the evidence for later. If he's able to tie it together, whatever. If he's stuck back in time forever, who cares? Just
who knows?
He just goes with the flow.
Yeah,
he's just going with the flow.
So Walker then goes to the preacher and he's like, "I need you to take me to see Lone Wolf." So I'm assuming he got the name Lone Wolf from John Wolfe, but I'm not sure. Did they mention Lone Wolf before that? Anyways,
I don't know.
He gets the preacher's like, "Oh yeah, sure." And Walker's like, "Well, we got to get there before this posse gets there, because all hell's gonna break loose." And he's like, "Oh, no problem." But like the posse left presumably like an hour earlier.
Yeah, with Lester's ancestor essentially bringing a quote unquote posse, his self-proclaimed posse of local Western
ruffians,
Walker Texas Ranger villains.
Roughnecks.
Old West Walker villains to go frame the Comanche for something here.
So the preacher takes Walker to go see Lone Wolf, and Walker shows up at the Comanche camp. The shaman steps out of the tent and is like, "I've been waiting for you, Washoe." And Walker's like, "So you brought me back in time?" And he's like, "Yes, to fix our problems." And Walker's like, "Well, I guess I need to talk to Lone Wolf." And he's like, "Well, Lone Wolf's not home. He's planning to distract the posse while the tribe relocates." So he's like, "Okay, I guess I better go find Lone Wolf." And so he goes, finds Lone Wolf, and helps Lone Wolf deal with a couple of snipers who are about to try to take him out, and lands a couple sweet roundhouse kicks.
Lone Wolf sees Walker and is like, "Oh, you're a ranger. You've got a badge. You've got a gun. You came in on a horse. You're here to get me like these guys." So they start this fight, and I'm thinking like, "Oh, well, at any point, Walker, you could tell him that you're here to be his friend and help him out." But instead, they throw down this prolonged fight with Walker delivering roundhouse kicks to Lone Wolf, who he's trying to help.
And not once did he try to explain anything. He's like, "No, let's let the fight play out, and then I'll describe, explain that I'm actually here."
Now, let's face it, though. Let's face it. He's doing it lightly. I mean, Walker can control the magnitude of his roundhouse kicks. This is season 8, and there were no thunderclaps when he was kicking anyone. So, they were pretty light roundhouse kicks, and he was more just sort of trying to disorient him.
Okay, and then he got him. So, Lone Wolf pulls a knife on Walker. Walker turns it around and has a knife at Lone Wolf's throat, almost kills him, and then goes, "Hey, could have killed you, but you know that I didn't kill you, so I'm actually here to help you. You trust me now, right?" And Lone Wolf's like, "Nah, I got to go talk to the shaman first." Right. So let's go back to the campground and talk to the shaman. So they go back to the shaman.
So they're on their way back to go see the tribe. And we get to see the posse sort of regroup. At this point, I wasn't even sure how many of the people in the posse knew what was up, but you hear like sort of the lead guy and then the second in charge basically argue like, well, we're gonna frame Lone Wolf, and we're gonna kill that ranger too. And they're just like arguing about it or shouting it really loud. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, I would think most of the posse behind would be like, yeah, okay, we're not gonna do that. But they all overhear it and they're like, okay, cool, we're good. So they're all in on it.
Well,
Yeah.
This isn't their first rodeo, Evan. They've done stuff like this before.
So on their way back, we see Walker and Lone Wolf. We get a very quick scene where they're riding horses alone, and Lone Wolf is like, he has an amazing quote, which I think, is a quote that maybe a first-time Walker watcher would say, which is, you
wrote it down?
You fight like no white man I've ever seen. And Walker's like,
to which Walker replies,
well, Lone Wolf, I'm not like any white man you've ever seen. End quote.
Awesome.
That pretty much sums up Walker, right? Like that's it.
Oh man. Oh, they don't. They don't teach that.
I mean, the real answer should have been. It shouldn't have been. Well, I'm not like any white man you've ever seen before. His real answer should have been like, man, you should see Gary Busey fight. You think I'm crazy?
Let's talk about buttered sausage.
Anyways, they're having this heart-to-heart, and the posse ambushes them, and they're hiding. Walker and Lone Wolf are stuck behind a couple of trees, and they're just waiting out all these bullets flying past them and hitting the trees and everything. And there's a break in the fire, and Walker's like, I'm taking him into custody, and we're going to go see the judge, the circuit judge. And, power to Walker for knowing, what the judicial system back in the 1800s was like. Because, and he must have gotten this.
He even knew where he was located.
Right? Like, how else would he have known that there was a circuit judge in the 1860s located in a certain town in Texas, right?
Yeah. He even had the name and everything, and you're like, wow, Walker, he does know everything.
You know what? In a relationship, he's a listener. And we might hear that in the fanfic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Anyways, the posse's like, actually, we got our own judge, so we're just going to keep shooting at you. So they do. And Walker shouts over to Lone Wolf, like, when I start firing, you run. And Walker jumps out from behind the tree and just starts unloading with his gun. And they don't know what's going on. But one guy is...
They're like, he doesn't even have to reload
one guy
that
is really
pistol.
Carefully counting. And this is more an infomercial on maybe modern guns than anything. But again, you hear one guy mutter under his breath like, I count 10 bullets and I only see one gun.
Yeah.
Wow.
To that I would
That's
say
a magical gun he's got there.
Yeah, I would say he's fired a lot more than 10 bullets, and it's not like he had like an extra magazine with him or anything. So it's kind of a magic gun too. We knew that anyways. It's capable of a super shot, and we'll get to what else it's capable of in a little bit. But magic guns. So they're no match for a modern firearm. And Walker and Lone Wolf are able to escape back to the Comanche, and they sit around the campfire, and Walker gets the truth from everyone. And we learn kind of what we already knew, which is just that they framed the Comanche in the stagecoach robbery.
In the shaman, is it shaman or shaman?
I'd say shaman. Who we could ask? Who has a studio album named Shaman? Carlos Santana.
Oh, Carlos?
Full circle.
Man.
We've done it.
Okay. Wow. Okay, well, the shaman, and Carlos, let us know if this is correct or not. He goes, Walker's like, who did this? Who framed you guys? And the shaman's like, it was a white man.
Right. And they kind of shame Walker a little bit, and he keeps his mouth shut.
They do.
Pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does. Credit. And he's going to try to make it
That's
right.
Step number one. That's pretty good. So anyways, we kind of learn what we pretty much already knew, which was that the white guys framed them.
Lester's ancestor, who's heading up these posse of bad guys. They essentially killed a white, was it Ranger, who was being transported by stagecoach or something to, I don't know what he was trying to do in town, but they were just trying to stir up trouble so that they could have an excuse to kill Native Americans.
Pretty much. Like. There's something in there about stolen gold, bunch of other stuff. So it's
kind of convoluted.
Just,
I just saw Chuck Norris time travel, and I can't keep the plot straight. That's
fine.
This point.
We're getting near the end, anyways. So
okay,
the lights at the end of the tunnel here. So Walker's like, "Well, all right, Lone Wolf, you got to come with me. We're gonna go see the circuit judge." And Lone Wolf's like, "Yeah, man, forgive me, but I'm not gonna leave like my wife and kid here." And Walker's like, "Okay, I'll go get the judge. I'll bring him back."
Fair enough.
Good.
Yep.
Good. So he leaves to get the judge. But as soon as he leaves, the posse shows up, and presumably because they saw campfire smoke, would be my guess. And they take Lone Wolf, and just as they're riding away, completely and totally predictably, they shoot Lone Wolf's son, which we've only seen in one other scene before, with just enough exposition to know that he's his son and to know that he's the weakest link. So they shoot him. Walker, of course, arrives and immediately triages the situation. He knows that Lone Wolf's been taken to be hanged, and he knows that the son has been hit by a bullet, and he's going to now remove the bullet. Because as we all know, movie logic, and in this case, Walker logic, remove the bullet and you'll be fine. So,
right.
He's like, "Do you have a knife?"
Yeah. And then he doesn't just go digging for the bullet with the knife. He sanitizes it in the open flame first.
He's from
the future. He knows about germs.
Yeah, this poor kid is lying on the ground, got shot in the shoulder, and he's about to have, Chuck Norris digging around for a bullet with a hot knife.
Walker's like, "All right, son, this is going to hurt a lot." And the son's like, "I'm a warrior." Great line. And to that, Walker says, "Great, you don't have any more speaking lines in this."
Right, yeah,
that's
we can't even afford to have you do a
stick
grunt.
for your mouth.
Yeah, right. Exactly. All right, so he pulls this bullet out of the poor kid, and instead of being like, "Are you okay?" Like, he just is like, "Okay, got the bullet, good, that's what I needed." He steps up, and he's got like a bloody towel he's cleaning this bullet off on, and then Walker pulls some like MacGyver crap here. What is going on?
Just so amazing. He now, at this point, he's got two bullets, right? And so he's got the one he pulled out of the dead guy from a stagecoach robbery, and now he's got the one he pulled out of Lone Wolf's son's shoulder. Lone Wolf's son will be okay, so don't worry. But he then rolls them in, he cleans them off, the bullets, and then he rolls them in ashes from the fire, and then rolls the ashy bullets onto a white handkerchief to create a
bullet fingerprint.
Well, ballistics.
Yes, a pattern of the rifling of the bullet, which is, unique to each gun. And so he's like, "Oh, well, the same gun that shot your son also shot the stagecoach people. So we've got our smoking gun here."
Right. And they said they saw the guy that did it, and he was like the deputy or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's irrelevant.
I don't know.
Everyone's a deputy.
He's one of the bad guys.
Yeah. and also, Walker gives the bullet back to the boy, which is the evidence, right? And then he goes, "Also, here's a bullet from my gun," and gives it to him, so that in the future he'll also see that it was his bullet, and he'll decide to go back in time. Which I think when earlier at the beginning of the episode, when in our time or their current time, John Wolfe handed him the bag, he's like, "Oh, my bullet is in the bag, like the kind of bullets I use."
Yeah.
And so I don't know what it was sounding like he was going to go back in time, regardless of whether his bullet was in that bag or not.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I don't know why he gave it to him.
It's
anyway,
a promise that he's going to find justice. So anyways, Walker just not only did like autopsies from CSI earlier on, but now he's doing ballistics lab work in a campfire, like from CSI. basically, Walker's like, okay, well, now I know who did all of this, so I'm just gonna go lay down some serious Walker justice. And he rides into town, and they're about to string up Lone Wolf. They're gonna hang him, and just as they pull the lever, and your mind's thinking, he's not just gonna shoot the rope, is he? He shoots the rope.
Dude,
I pretty much figured he would. Yeah.
We mentioned, I think we mentioned Back to the Future Part 3 earlier. That happened in Back to the Future Part 3.
Bob, this happened 100 years before Back to the Future.
Yeah.
So
no, Back to the Future Part 3 took place back in the 1850s. Remember?
Oh, so that was like 10.
That was like went back to the Wild
so
West.
that was 10 years before this. Then.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't know the exact years, but yeah.
Yeah. So pretty much, Walker uses his super shot, and the moment where the noose was going to be taut, the bullet just broke the rope. So a Lone Wolf.
I love the response
or
the reaction from the guy who pulled the lever too. He sees the rope get shot, and he's not like, "What just happened?" He's more like, "Not again."
He's like, yeah. God damn it!
It's like third time this week.
Oh my god! Yikes! And so Lone Wolf kind of runs over to Walker, and Walker's like on a horse, and Walker's like, "Get on the horse and get out of here," And so he rides off, and Walker's standing there face to face with Lester's bad boy ancestor and the whole posse there brandishing their guns. And he's like, man, we've got the circuit judge coming out here, and I've got evidence that's going to put you guys away. And they're like, not if we put you in the ground first. And then what happens is an old school draw. Am I but
right?
It's
not 1-on-1, it's 3-on-1. And let's just say they're not familiar with the phrase one riot, one rager.
Yeah, because in the time it takes them to even touch their guns, Walker has shot 3 people. Not mortally.
He just injured them.
Not mortally.
Right, of course not.
Yeah, because he knew exactly what appendage he was shooting. And in fact, once they hit the ground and they were getting carted away, he's like, "Get them to a doctor, okay, guys."
Make sure
I'll be right down. I'll pull the bullets.
Make sure they're okay.
Make sure they put their instruments in fire for 30 seconds at least.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So there was almost no tension there. Walker saves the day. They have evidence that they were trying to frame the Comanche, and Walker goes back to the Comanche camp with the shaman and Lone Wolf McQuaid.
So what evidence is there? He also didn't kill all the bad guys, so like it seems like kind of all the people in the town were like willing to be against the Comanche. So what evidence is there? Walker doesn't stick around to see the circuit judge. How does he resolve any of this?
We actually don't know that.
Well, we know because
so here's his evidence.
He goes back to the future. Right?
But
he does.
Yes.
He actually goes back.
So that means it's resolved.
But if he wouldn't have gone back if everything wasn't fixed.
That is true. So I guess
so we know everything's fixed,
cool. All right.
Because he going
okay. Good call, Bob.
But his evidence, let's break this down because I was trying to get into this earlier. Okay. He's got bullet prints on a napkin. So
ballistics.
Which
those people probably had no idea what that was.
No.
Exactly. And he's got one of the bullets, the one that was from the original guy, the actual bullet he's got. So he could never recreate this again because he gave the other bullet back to the injured kid. And so he's just going to go to the circuit judge and say, "Hey, look at this napkin and take my word for it that these bullets didn't just come from my gun. I didn't just fire off
Take
2
my
bullets
word for it that
he's a Texas Ranger.
that it's not the fact that my pen leaked on this, that these are prints from a bullet."
Exactly. Check out this napkin, the chain of custody. There's none of this stuff. Like, it's just like, take my word for it, these guys are guilty, is all he could say.
Yes. Yep. And he doesn't stick around to
That's
even
all he needs.
He doesn't stick around even to say it. So how does he resolve anything?
Oh man, but this case does help him when he goes back to the future, which we'll get to. This definitely was very pivotal in him in helping solve the crime in the future. So it's really worthwhile that he did go back in time and do all this stuff, right?
Absolutely. So anyways, they're like, well, thank you so much. And, the shaman's like, well, you solved the problems back here in the past, but they will not help you solve your problems in the present. And then he just gets... he gets sent back, and
the red-tailed hawk.
And it's not even. So we get the red-tailed hawk noise, but the stock image of a bird they have soaring is a turkey vulture.
So actually, Evan, now that you brought that up, I think in the first montage, and the first time he had the dream sequence
of bald eagle noises. Was that a real? It was the whimpering.
Yeah, it was the chirping kind of.
Yeah. Yep.
So I was like, so they know. Why do they always use
I think what happened is what often happens. They fired their staff ornithologist halfway through the episode.
It's a tale as old as time.
Happens a lot.
Your ornithologist gets the axe.
Happens a lot. Yep.
It's a crime shame.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, it doesn't take an ornithologist to know that a bald eagle's cry sounds lame. And you got to replace it with
you also got to you're like, well, I don't know what that thing is, but we know from a previous episode that Walker did some birding and he was able to recognize a turkey vulture. So, he knows they mean trouble. Even he should have known that, but whatever.
Well, he can't control his visions. It's a blur of history and spiritualism and mumbo jumbo that he can't control.
Anyways, he gets hit in the head.
And it shoots him back to present time
with some blue lightning again. And he wakes up on the floor of the barn. And, part of me is wondering, like, okay, well, like, did John Wolfe also get struck by lightning? Like, did he go and pass?
Right. Because he's standing right across from him. He's like, oh, you're back. And we're like, wait, did his body physically leave? Or was he just asleep?
Like, he just kind of got knocked out. But, like, why wasn't John Wolfe brought back, too? Like, weren't they both trying to, like...
No, because
maybe he was.
Chuck was literally, Walker was sent back in time and was his actual self back in time, not his ancestor or anything like that. So that they wouldn't have done that with John Wolfe. But anyway, all that matters is Walker's like, okay, now to solve your crime too, John Wolfe, and he grabs John Wolfe and he walks out of the barn, and they're the same old sheriff's there with Lester, and Lester's like, oh man, well let's kill him. Why are you taking him into custody? And so
Walker's like, oh, we're gonna go walk it through at the crime scene, and never before have I felt the crunch of a 40-minute episode. Like what transpires in the next like minute 30.
Wrap it up,
boys. They go back to the newspaper office, and was it surprising to you guys that they just left the reporter there in his pool of blood still?
Yes.
Oh, was he still there at the end?
He was still there.
He didn't have like a white blanket over him or anything?
No, he's still there.
No.
He was probably starting to get a little ripe. Gee, it's been a few hours.
I don't know. But so they're there, and I think Trevette's there too. How does this go down? Because they wrap it up so fast.
Quick. It is so fast. So Lester's in there. John Wolfe is in there. The local sheriff is there. Walker and Trevette are there, and they walk over. They see the body or whatever, and Lester's like, so I walked in and John Wolfe, he had just killed this dude with a tomahawk, and then I tried to run, and he threw the tomahawk, and then it got stuck in the wall over there, and I just ran, and Walker's like, so that's exactly how it went down. And John Wolfe's like, this is a total lie. And Walker's like, so Lester, you're sure this is how it went down? And Lester's like, oh yeah. And Walker's all like, so it should be John Wolfe's fingerprints on the tomahawk. Yours won't be on there, will they?
And he's like, I'll pull my gun on you now.
You see like the wheels turning, and then he's just like, I guess I'll pull my gun now.
Right, and they cart him off to jail.
Walker grabs the gun, and then the sheriff's like, well, we solved that one. You're good to go, John Wolfe. And that was it. And it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, and they're walking out to the street to go to the old Dodge Ram, Trevette and Walker, and Trevette's like, Walker, how'd you get so dirty?
Yeah. I mean, the time traveling manifested itself.
Well, so that leads... All right, so, and Walker's like, you wouldn't believe me if I told you kind of situation. And that leads me to believe that he was physically gone. He wasn't just lying there with John Wolfe watching him. He physically went back in time.
Well, he also did just fall. He did also just fall on the barn floor.
Right. No, I watched this twice. Of
course you did. You think you're better than me?
Yeah, and yes.
Clearly.
I watched it once, and that was enough.
Yeah.
No, I watched it, and I was looking for this because I was like, I need to see. And he got like way dirtier when he was back there, and that's the kind of dirt he had when he was back. So whoever was doing the clothes on this, I mean,
they had unlocked
set dress or whatever, they had it unlocked. He was physically back in time.
All right, fair enough.
And
I mean, your word for
listeners out there, Walkerologists out there, prove me wrong. I want to be proved wrong, but I'm putting out there as far as my interpretation of this vision I had of this episode was that he was physically back in time.
Well,
drawing the line there. But, before we do that, they go back to CD's Bar and Grill for one more thing, right? What's happening at the end here to dovetail to close out this ep?
You basically get to see the tail end of Walker telling his story to CD, Trevette, and Alex. And they're basically just looking on in what I would call sort of comic disbelief. And then he's like, see, I told you wouldn't believe me. And then freeze frame. End of episode.
Back
in time. All right. Well, that about sums up this episode. When we come back, it'll be time for us to each rate Way of the Warrior on a scale of 0 to 10 boots to the face, resulting in our patented Roundhouse Roulette episode ranking. Complete results of which are available on our website, roundhouseroulette.com. Don't go away. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, guys.
Why so down, man?
Well, it's just I've been sharing my birthday with Hitler for all these years, and it really makes it hard to enjoy the day,
Well, as we know, Hitler's birthday was even a key plot in Chuck Norris's movie Top Dog.
Yeah, if there's only a way to take out Hitler before he rose to power.
Where did Bob go?
I'm not sure. He was here just a second ago, but maybe he left to deliver the light of Walker, Texas Ranger to the world.
Speaking of which, podcast listeners, if you'd like to aid us in that mission, please share the pod with a friend or leave us a kind review on Apple Podcasts. It truly helps other Walkerites find the cast. And if you're feeling extra generous, join us on Patreon or pick up a vintage action figure at roundhouseroulette.com.
Many thanks to everyone who's helped us continue on this crazy quest. Bob! Where were you, man?
Oh, man, you guys are never going to believe this. A shaman sent me back in time to kill Hitler. When I got there, I wasn't alone. Chuck Norris also had been summoned. There was a struggle, the three of us tussling by a nearby cliff. In an act of sacrifice, Chuck pushed me aside and dove off the ledge, pulling angsty teen Hitler along with him. His sacrifice saved my life and my birthday.
Who's Chuck Norris?
What?
Glad to have you back, man. Let's get back to the podcast.
All right, guys. This episode was certainly one for the books. Adam, what did you think of this one?
I was really taken with how emotional Walker was in this episode. Also, the sensitivity with which they portrayed the Texas Rangers while sidestepping like the hot button issue of police brutality was masterfully done.
I'm so glad he talked things out instead of using his fists.
Dude, for sure. Jared Padalecki's performance really scratched all my itches. May we hope they never reboot Walker because he alone is Cordell Walker.
Amen, brother. The CW can do no wrong.
Oh, no. It's happening again. I'll fix this podcast, listeners. You all get back to the cast.
Welcome back. That was pretty weird. I think it's my turn to go first this time. Honestly, like, This episode certainly scratched some itches. I mean, it's been a while. It was refreshing that this is a season 8 episode, but there are no side characters. And in fact, Trevette's main action was eating a sandwich and having healthy banter with CD. I think, honestly, sleeper in this episode, CD.
Yeah,
on
I thought
point.
So too.
On point.
A lot of dialogue, a lot of
some of his best
folksy banter.
Yep. Yeah.
What? And that he was in 2 scenes and he didn't even talk in the last one.
No,
he was in 1 scene.
He was in 2
he
scenes.
Wasn't even in the last
great.
one.
Great. I think he's an all-star in the episode. I'm not a huge fan of time travel in basically anything because it inherently makes zero sense. First 20 minutes of this episode were absolute gold. I mean, we got weird shaman visions. We got Walker falling asleep at a traffic light. Incredible.
Bird calls. We had CGI green screen shamans appearing in the sky.
Random eagles, all that stuff. We had CD and Trevette banter for the ages. We had a journalist just get taken out by a tomahawk and some guy just go ape on a keyboard. Amazing. And then we got to see a floppy disk. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, that brought me back.
I mean, pretty awesome. And so I thought, like, man, this episode is just gonna it's gonna be great. But I think there were a lot of sort of missed opportunities. So, in the end, I got to docket some points for squandered potential and just general confusion. I'm sort of somewhere between a 6 and a 7. And I think I'm going to round down to a 6 on this one.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That is exactly the number I came up with. 6, I think, for this one. Because I will say this episode was like a movie. And it moved pretty good until it got into like its like middle part, and that's where it kind of lost me. Like, all this back and forth with the posse, and I'm like, I don't really care about this. I was just like still riding from the high the fact that he traveled back in time, and you guys fumbled the ball a little bit here.
Could you imagine if they just went one step further with the CGI and they had like a CGI wormhole that looked like one of those visualizers from the old media player, and then you saw like him sort of zoom down into it?
Oh yeah, anything like that. Or if they took another natural step and he went into the future, and it was like the Terminator, like Hellscape.
Too many props there. They didn't even try with like trains or anything else in this one. They just had the stagecoach.
Did you notice how the guy hammering the metal when he woke up was like wearing like a work glove you could get at Home Depot?
I was keeping an eye out for that stuff, and I did. I was like, I didn't really drill in, but I was like, yeah.
I was like, oh, it's kind of took me out of it for a second.
You can get those at Agway.
But yeah, I mean, this one, it was entertaining, it was fun, but I'm going to stick with 6. I mean, it would be fun to watch this. And obviously it's notable for him going back in time. So yeah, I'm going to go with 6.
Guys, I was right with it the whole time. And I had the same numbers. I had 6 and 7.
Wait, are you saying this is going to be the mark of the beast?
Well, I don't know yet. I'm going to talk myself into.
Okay.
I'm going to see if I can talk myself into a 7 here. And I'll tell you why.
We don't want to be mark of the beast here, Bob. Please talk.
Maybe we do. But let's see. Okay. The flashbacks are fun and all, but like, there's no explosions, right?
No,
there's no car chases.
No.
The horse work was nicely done. The equine engagement,
the horseplay,
but yeah, no explosions.
Horseplay was great.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, horseplay. Those transitions, man. Those the dream sequences, the CGI.
Oh yeah,
real good.
I mean, those are good. And the hawk calls and all that stuff. Oh my god, we're on point.
The mysticism.
I mean, we were kind of set up for failure. I mean, when you kick off an episode like that, there's no way the back end can be as fierce.
Right. If I'm being a purist here, I mean, these episodes are fine, but they're not like what I come here for. So I'm going to stick with a 6. We're going to have a unanimous 6 on this one. Not bad.
Wow.
Not like I wouldn't recommend
Rarely
it.
are we unanimous.
Yeah. Very rare.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well,
All
that's
right.
a nice round number. That gives this episode a roundhouse rating of 6 boots to the face. Please do let us know what you think of this episode and whatever else we're doing on social media or by emailing us at roundhouseroulette@gmail.com. When we come back, we're going to spin that roulette wheel, select our next episode.
Don't go away.
We're back. Bob, ready to hit that thing?
Season 6, episode 15, Money Talks. Guys, this is going to be, sounds like this one's going to be a CD-centric episode here. So,
Nice.
All right.
Okay.
Original air date, January 17th, 1998. Money Talks. Asked to temporarily step in as the head of security at the Golden Wells Resort. CD soon realizes his predecessor may have been murdered.
Is it Ocean's 11 kind of thing? Yeah.
I don't know. I think we might be. You guys are complimenting CD. We might get a little OD of CD.
Yeah,
here,
we
you know what I'm
might
saying?
get too much CD. I think
Yeah.
there was just enough
see.
in the last one.
Or we'll be. I hope we're proven wrong.
All right. Well, we hope you'll join us next time when we share our reactions and thoughts on Season 6, Episode 15, Money Talks. In the meantime, share your opinions with us on Facebook and Instagram at Roundhouse Roulette and on Twitter at RoundhousePod. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening. And until next time,
May the eyes of the Ranger be
be
upon
upon
you.
you.
When you're in Texas, look behind you. Oh, 'cause that's where the Ranger's gonna be.